Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where finally we have hit some summertime where I can actually sit outside and record the podcast, which is what I prefer. I prefer to be outside as much as possible. Glad to be making a transition in that regard from a weather standpoint. Angie continues to do what she does, and that is to find us different incredible guests that we can visit with on a regular basis. So, Angie, how did you guys cross paths today?
Well, you say I find them. I feel like they find me. And so Jen Brinsmade is our guest today, and we crossed paths because she reached out to me on TikTok, but it was because she had stayed at Hallie's house, and kind of we leave little hints around our story at Hallie's house. There's books that kind of focus towards healing, and of course we have the picture of Hallie in the master bedroom, and there's just this vibe and energy I feel like at that house. And so Jen felt that too, and then wanted to dig a little bit into our story, and then we connected and started chatting, and I'm like, of course this is why we cross paths. We have very similar missions. So welcome to the podcast, Jen. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Do you want to just give us a little background on who you are and your family and all the things and your favorite vacation hotspots?
Well, one is where Hallie's house is,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm Jen Brinsmade, and I am a wellness coach. But first and foremost, I am a mom of a teen daughter and a daughter that's in her early 20s. And I have a husband. We've been married 26 years, got 2 dogs. I got a big Ridgeback and a little miniature dachshund. The one you need to be afraid of is not the Ridgeback.
That's fine.
Got Wally, who will keep you, he's always barking at something. The wind blows, he barks. But I just love wellness, and I have a heart for the younger generation. And so I can share more about that as we talk. But I just love what I do. It just lights me up every single day because there's a mission, right? And we can talk more about that. I live in Texas, and it's hot, and I would love a little cool air. We were just in Colorado experiencing like 40s in the morning. It was awesome. I did yoga every day on the deck. I had to wait until like 8 o'clock until it was 50 degrees. And I had a sweatshirt on. It was awesome because I kept reminding myself, just absorb this cool air, because as soon as you step off that plane in Texas, you're not going to feel that until like October. So yeah. So Colorado, I would say is one of my most favorite places, any place with mountains. My soul is connected to the mountains. I love the beach too, but if I had a choice, I would definitely pick the mountains because I just love moving and being in the fresh air. It's very fun. So that's a little bit about me. I could go on, but I'll just keep it short.
Well, I think it's nature in general, right? It just sort of makes you feel more grounded and more connected. So I love the mountains too, but I do prefer the beach, the salty air, I think.
Yes.
I'm where they. I love being in the mountains. I love hiking and all of those things and seeing the views that you don't see from way up above. But I hate sweatshirts and long pants. And so every time I'm going to pick the beach. But I do, again, those would be my 2 favorites, like everyone. But nobody's picking the plains in the Midwest, okay? Nobody's like, let's go see some farmland.
And it's beautiful in its own way, right? It's all God's country.
Yes.
But to me, like you said, it's really just like I did a hike. We were in Breckenridge, and I did this hike. Interestingly, the people that owned the Airbnb sent me a message in Airbnb. You may want to check out this hike. It went viral on TikTok. I'm like, okay, all right. Not that I want to be around people, but I watched the TikTok, and the wildflowers were just in full bloom. So I told my husband, we need to go early because I don't know what it's going to look like. But the last thing I want to do is hike with a lot of people. And it was breathtaking. The thing I love about hiking is you never know what you're going to come up across, right? You go around the corner, you don't know what's going to be there. It could be a bear. You don't want that. But just the natural beauty is just, it's just how you know that there's something bigger than us that's created it all.
Absolutely. So was it packed?
No. Thank goodness.
Okay.
I only saw a few people, and they were kind enough to let me keep hiking past them because they were going slower than I preferred. So it was good. My husband started his hiking boot started falling apart because, Texas heat. And when you leave a hiking boot inside of a garage and you don't check to see if the shoe's still intact before you pack it, So he turned around and went back to the car, and I continued hiking. I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss this opportunity. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
awesome. It was
I
awesome.
love it. So tell us a little bit about your mission.
Yeah. So my mission. So I'll just start off with myself as a teenager, right? So I was a typical teenage girl, the perfectionism, the self-doubt, the not feeling like, just always trying to be something that I wasn't, instead of really just owning my own power, right? So at 19, I just got this, I want to call it a bug. Something in me wanted to learn more about wellness. And of course, we didn't have the internet back then. So it was, go to the library and find any books on health, it eventually became personal development too. But it was really just, I was so fascinated about how I could become healthier. I did take a college course, and we had to put in our 5-day food diary. And from what I was typically eating, 55% of my diet was from fat. So I just was like, okay, what does that mean? Right. So learning about that, absorbing as much information as possible. And then I became a fitness trainer right out of college. And I had a client that introduced a book to me, The Four Agreements, and was just so fascinated about understanding ways of being that were not the way I thought, right? As a teenager. I mean, I remember at 18 thinking, all that I know right now is all I will ever need to know. I am set, right? Well, thank goodness. Thank goodness I changed that mindset, because I surely at 55 would not want my 18-year-old brain. But, now I've thought about it. It's like, gosh, all the things that I've learned as an adult, I just wish I would have learned way earlier.
Mhm.
And that's really peace and power habits. That's what my mission is to give the girls, the teen girls and the girls in their early 20s, these really the guidance and the habits that are going to help them own their power, be able to have the voice that's within them that they may be holding back because they're trying to please people, right? Really, really owning their power. And that peace is that stillness within themselves. It's all there. But we know with technology and social media, our brains constantly being on, constantly getting the dopamine hits, the brain doesn't even have a chance to relax. And if that young person doesn't really, because they're constantly on, they don't sit in stillness, they never really hear their soul's calling. They don't hear those deeper desires that they have. And that's really the piece, right? And I just giving them those habits and the frameworks to understand even just thoughts, how you can learn to challenge the thoughts. Most of us don't, we think as much as we think the same thoughts over and over again. And how many of those thoughts don't serve us, especially with the young mind.
So true. And I think you and Angie, actually, both of you obviously want to help women and young girls. When I talk to my boys, it's the same thing where I'm like, guys, I know you just think dad's talking to talk again. But what I'm really trying to share with you is stuff I wish that I had been taught at your age. And I know that you're going to have to make your own mistakes, but I hope you'll take some of this in, because you can avoid a lot of heartbreak, a lot of failure, if you can learn some things. Like you said, at 18, I was pretty smart, except I really wasn't. And our kids, I think, unfortunately, think the same thing. So if they can learn things at a younger age, boys and girls love it.
I think you also have to experience things too, and that's a dynamic of it. Jen, what you said totally resonates with me. I have always said prior to losing Hallie that my 40s were my favorite time. I loved who I was in my 40s, but I think that came from also a deep desire to learn and grow and evolve. And there's a lot of healing even through that process, and just with a growth mindset and trying to absorb as much to just do my own self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
But then I do think, gosh, if I would have had access to this type of information when I was younger, would it have changed? And I would have learned the confidence and the what people pleasing really is and what it's not, all of that at an earlier age. But then I think now we try to instill it in our kids giving them our knowledge. And now it feels like you're battling social media.
Mm.
And so it's like you're almost like starting back over. I'm like, okay, now how do we instill all of this, which is what you're trying to do at an early age when social media exists, and then they have all this info coming at them, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad.
And honestly, most of it's bad. And they're so influenced by just some random person that showed up on their For You page. I mean, I can't tell you how many things, because I have the Peace and Power Habits Squad. So it's a group of girls that meets monthly at my home. And we get a chance to do some yoga, and I do a guided meditation with them. And then they learn these habits, right? And I get a chance to really understand their hearts and really what they want. And it's like just amazing to me how they could hear one person say one thing and they believe it to be true. They don't go dig deeper. Or it could be, a TikTok that went viral. And so now everybody else is talking about it. Well, gosh, it has to be true, right? And that's what I always share with them. It's like, that's fine. And there's some great information out there, but fact check, dig a little bit deeper, right? Just because everybody's talking about it doesn't mean it's true, right? And then, like you said, Angie, I think that they do have to have their own experiences. I truly believe, from a parent's perspective, is that we can tell them everything that we've learned, right? But the best teacher is life. And if all that we do as parents is guide them to what you said, the growth mindset, right? And understanding that just because you failed at something, failure, right? How have we taught them to view failure? I mean, I can't tell you how many women that I talk to that have these deep desires, but their first thing they say is, I just don't want to fail. I'm like,
Yeah.
but then you're never going, that deep desire that's within you, God has put that within you, right? It's there. And when it's constantly coming up, that's, to me, that's him knocking on the door saying, open the door, go through, make some mistakes, look stupid, whatever you want to call it, for you to step into the power, right? The power that's within you that really needs to be shared with the world.
So how do you guide that? How do you teach those habits with your girls, with your
So
squad?
with my girls or with the squad?
Either.
Well, with my girls,
Yeah.
it's very different because, of course, I'm a mom. Do they listen to even half of what I ask them or share with them? No. And, for me, it's gotten to a point where it's like, I'm okay with, I could tell you 10 times that's going to happen. And one other mom or a teacher tells them
Oh,
a different thing and they listen to them and it works out great. Like, to
yeah.
me, I'm good with that. Like, for me, it is the village. But when it comes to the squad, what I love is that I listen more than I speak, to be honest with you. And I learn so much from them when I just question something, right? I bring up, let's just say, social media. We've been talking about what a digital wellness routine looks like and how really it's starting your day. If you start your day with your phone, the difference in your day compared to if you start your day with your own agenda, right? Because everything on that phone is someone else's agenda. And the minute you open up your phone, whether it's you go to social media, or you go to your emails, or you go to your Snapchat or whatever, then you haven't really created your day. And the next thing you know, your brain is primed for more stress throughout the day because of the dopamine. Constantly, your brain is constantly, it's not even something that they're consciously aware of, especially for them because their brains aren't fully developed, right? We struggle with it as adults and we have, frontal cortexes that are developed. So it's really listening to them and then opening up conversations and then giving them different ways of thinking of something. And then we practice it. And, I'm in Snapchat. I've got a Peace and Power Habits Snap group. So, we're constantly having conversations back and forth. And it's just learning something, getting a chance to practice it, and have accountability to someone, which is me, right? Because I think the accountability to our parents isn't necessary. We just don't view it as kids. We don't view it the same way. So I always tell parents that I'm your ally, right? Like, so I'm oftentimes just sharing the same message with them, but I'm packaged as a guide or a coach as opposed to a parent, which, I don't know about you, but I didn't think my parents knew anything when I was a teenager.
So yeah, a couple of things on that. I can relate to that 100%. Last summer, I was coaching my son Dane's baseball team, and as the season went on, that I was the assistant, the head coach. His son was very good. He's like, "Can you just?" He's like, "Can you just talk to my son because he doesn't listen to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, if you'll talk to mine because he won't listen to me." And that's how they'll listen. They don't hear it from dad, but they'll listen to the assistant because he apparently said it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, unfortunately, Ange, you and I are both guilty of wake up in the morning, phones up. I could see how it becomes very unhealthy, and they get us too, right? That's where your alarm is now,
Sure.
right? Your alarm's on your phone, so you got to pick it up to shut it off. When in theory,
Kids get home last night. I mean, that's what
then you dive right in, and you're trapped. You're trapped for the day.
And how do you feel when you're done?
Stressed out.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ready for the day.
Right? That's the way you start. And there's no shame in it. We all do it. But what I shared with the girls is just don't have your phone in the room. And they look at me like, what? I mean, when they come for the squad meeting, I have my mindful disconnect box is what I call it. It's got a little sign on the front and they have to put their phones in. The first time we met, I asked them after about 30 minutes, okay, girls, you've been away from your phone for 30 minutes. How do you feel? And one of the girls said, Miss Jen, I kept looking for my phone. Like the first 15 minutes, I just kept looking, like my brain kept looking, like not like out of turning your head, just my brain kept looking for it, right? And she said, over time, I stopped looking and I feel much more peaceful. So that is the brain of a teenager. So think for ourselves is if we could be intentionally starting our day away from our phone, get up or lie in bed, meditate, say a prayer, say your intention for the day. Thank God for this, being alive, whatever it is. And then what are your habits, right? Like I teach them about movement. Best thing to do is move your body in the morning, even if it's a few minutes, and get the morning sunlight in your eyes, right? Like all of these little tiny things seem like they don't amount to much. But if you start your day feeling a sense of peace, then you step into your day very different than that stressed out because you're having to react to something that you saw on your phone.
We're recording this on a Friday, so tomorrow's Saturday. We don't have to set the alarm. We're gonna try to wake up tomorrow and not hop right on our phones, which I know it's a challenge.
It is, but you can do hard things here.
How long?
Thank you.
What's the gap between when you wake up to when you check your phone?
Gosh, honestly,
30 minutes? 10
I
minutes?
can do this. I can do this.
Really?
You could, and it's baby steps. And I'll just say the word try. And if you ever saw Star Wars,
Yes.
do or not do. There is no try. So you're going to do it or you're not going to do it.
And I want to try to do the voice immediately. Do or not do.
Here's what happens.
There is no try.
Eric wakes up before me. You've probably already checked all your little notifications to remove them before I even wake up. So how am I going to know that we're both going to follow that?
You got to trust it, honey. You got to trust it.
First thing you do is find a place in your house. Maybe it's just in your bathroom. You plug your phone in there.
Yes.
And in the beginning, because we are so deeply addicted, right? I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's what the technology companies, they know, they've got us, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know this, but most technology, like people that are in the tech field, don't send their kids to schools that allow even a computer, like the Waldorf school. Because they got it. They understand it. They don't want their kids to be a subject of that. However, we're all hooked, right? And there's a lot of great things that the phone carries. But from the start of your day, if you could just the night before set the intention of how would I feel best with my day starting, right? Would it be get up, maybe have your prayer time, have your cup of coffee or, your electrolyte water or whatever it is, and go outside and just enjoy the morning sunlight. That morning sunlight actually sets your circadian rhythm for a better night's sleep that night. So little tiny things like that. And then maybe listen to a podcast or read a book or something that's going to get you. And it's, I mean, as adults, we know that's going to be different for kids, but they're practicing learning, like doing it. And then they're sharing with me how it feels. And they all
Mhm.
have said they just feel so much better and they feel like they don't feel so drawn to their phone.
We're
And
going
to
to
me,
try
that's a
this
big win. You can do it.
tomorrow morning, and we're going to see who can go longer, Ange. That's how we're
Okay.
going to do
Jen,
this.
I have a
It's
question for you.
tomorrow morning.
This is
I
off.
love it.
This is off our. It's not following our little script, but on your phone, do you have to remove all of your notifications? Like, how many alerts do you have on your phone?
Are you
Or
talking
do
about
you
like
have
on the
to?
home screen?
Yeah,
I just hit X and gets rid of them all. I
you
don't
just
even
get
look
rid
at
of them.
them.
You
In the
don't look
morning,
at
I
them.
don't even look at, because think about it. I mean, what time of the day do you wake up typically?
6-ish,
6.
5:30 to
Yeah, I
6.
mean, what
Mhm.
has happened the night before? I mean, unless your kids are all safe at the home, I mean, it could be something with an aging parent, but I mean, the
Yeah.
chances of that are little. So, you could even put it on do not disturb so you don't
Mhm.
feel drawn because none of that comes up. And it's
Yeah.
just a regular phone, right? And then move about your day. But if I truly believe you've got to set your intention the night before of what say, all right, tomorrow I'm going to spend 20 minutes without my phone. And then you do it and you just like whatever you need to do to celebrate, jumping up and down, patting yourself on the back because your brain likes celebration and your brain's like, okay, well, if she or he did it like that, then it's wanting to do the same thing because the way it feels. So it's the celebration's helpful too. I know you can do it.
Yeah. No, I think for me, mine is Eric, you act like I am the one on my phone all the
What are you
time.
I'm
So
saying?
funny.
I'm looking at it as a
Honesty.
competition, honey. It's a competition
I'm
that I'm
like,
going to win is
I
what I'm
brought up the
looking at.
notifications because he has to like not have any notifications on his phone. So if there's alerts, and I probably have like,
Goal oriented.
thousands of alerts
We're
because it's like
we're
my
200
my
people. She
thing
probably
though.
has 200 texts that are unread, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I gotta at least see
Yeah.
what's on there. I need it. Whoa, or
Yeah.
she has 78 million emails unopened, and I'm like,
I don't
nope, we got to get
I
rid of
don't
all
even
that.
care.
Yes.
Mine's really kids
But
for
also
me,
think
like
about
just checking.
it's your time. Remember that. See every one of those things that you spend time doing as time that you
Mhm.
cannot get back.
I love it.
That, I think I read it somewhere. Actually, I think Brendan Burchard, who's
Okay.
is
Yeah.
my favorite high performance coach, he said, yeah, I went to his growth day event in Austin, and he said that in our lifetime, we will spend, what did he say, like 75 hours of our life just scrolling through Netflix trying to find something to watch. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but he said it, so I believe
It
it.
is if you look at your lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and life is so precious. It is so precious. You know that.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I, I'm hyper aware and I
Mhm.
do try to really make sure that where I'm spending my time is what really matters. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, we all have to work and do all those things, but we try to be really intentional.
Yeah.
We're not good at it all the time, but
And who is? I'm
really
not.
aware. Yeah.
We're humans.
So what are some habits that you feel like that girls learn through your mission that really has kind of that positive ripple effect
Mm.
throughout their life? What are some of those core things that even just maybe our listeners that are parents, most are female, probably 85% of our listeners are female in our age range. I'm sure we're all like, gosh, how can we make an impact on our kids?
I think the biggest thing is modeling it for our kids, and we can
Mhm.
talk to them all day long, but if they're watching what we're doing and it's not the same thing that we're trying to tell them about, and they watch us, right? And so I think the biggest thing as a parent is really thinking about how you nourish your body. For teenage girls, I think that it is essential to understand that the more healthy things that we put in our body, healthy, right? What is healthy? Whole foods, right? Putting the things that will nourish us, because if we're nourished, our hormones are more balanced, we feel calmer, not so reactionary. I mean, we can't, teenage girls can't help that. It's just how their brain is developing to, I don't know about you. I don't know if your daughter reacts like You say something very coming from love and they jump on you, right? I have one of those. One, not so much, but
Boys are
really,
the same. Boys are
yeah.
the same.
I was gonna say
Are
Yes.
they?
my son
Have two
Maybe
my son
worse.
is actually
Yeah,
Yeah.
boys might be worse. It's
Really?
yes. I've seen
Interesting.
it both. I've seen it boys versus girls, and I think it's the boys that are worse. If I
Really interesting.
uh-huh.
So I don't have that experience. I only have two girls, but I think that that's it is as a parent paying attention to what our habits are. And if we know better, but yet we're not doing it, then we can't expect our kids to really do what we're telling them to do, right? So that's a start. But it's nourishing your body well, drink. I mean, it's basic things, right? It's the basics. But to me, most young people aren't doing the basics. I know that the minute my daughter gets an opportunity, her friend's car, because she hasn't gotten her license yet, but her friend's car goes right to Starbucks or goes to Chick-fil-A, right? Things that aren't, but they're teenagers. If the majority of what they're consuming is whole foods, then it's helping all the cells of their bodies grow properly, right? Brain, gut, everything. And then the sitting in stillness, I think, is a huge habit to teach. Like last night, my daughter and I were going to meditate, and she says, Mom, how long am I going to do this? Like, we got to set a timer, right? So she said, I'll do it for 5. So I added 6. She didn't know because of the timer was going and we were just had the music on. But it's the practicing of just being still and allowing yourself to hear your thoughts. And I teach them to question the thoughts because just because it crosses your mind does not mean it's true. So we do, we'll sit in stillness and then I'll, after a few minutes during like my squad, I'll ask, what are the thoughts? And then they'll share. So, do you believe that thought? Where does that come from? Why do you think that thought? Is that your thought? Or is it maybe, especially as a young person, a lot of those thoughts have just been instilled in us from an
Yeah.
older person? But I'm teaching them that there's a lot of power in that because some of our thoughts don't make us feel good about ourselves, right? I mean, especially if we're doom scrolling on Instagram or
Mhm.
some social media and we're constantly seeing these curated posts. I know I never feel better. I may have gotten some great hacks and some good clothing, some outfits or something, but
Yeah.
I can't say I feel better about myself. And so really getting them to see that being in stillness is a gift because then you can really feel who you truly are. And that stillness, because it's always in us, but we just forget. We
Mhm.
forget because we're constantly being stimulated. So that's, and movement too. I mean, it's so, to me, it's vital. It doesn't have to be the same type of exercise that I'm going to do compared to the next person. Like, I was a fitness trainer before I had kids. I did that for 15 years. So I know how to put together a workout routine, but that's not like for me, that's not what it's about. It's about moving your body to
Mhm.
be able to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, right? The calmer portion of who we are because we're always in that sympathetic during the day. So when they get to move their bodies, they always feel better. Always, whether it's, dance, going for a walk, jumping on a trampoline, whatever it is, swimming, it doesn't matter to me. It's just that you move your body and you do it regularly, even if it's just for 5 minutes. They always feel better about it.
Movement's medicine. I mean,
Yes, it
I
is.
can 1,000% attest to that. I
Yeah,
could
it's
have
the
the
most
most stressed out
underutilized
day. Yep.
antidepressant. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And you just don't think like going for a walk is gonna make that much difference. You can't even
Mhm.
imagine like what okay, fine, I'll go for a walk. And then you come back and it's just like you just feel
Yeah,
lighter. It's
yeah,
I,
crazy.
I went
It's
for 2
crazy.
yesterday, Jen. I had a rough start to my morning yesterday, and I went for almost 3 miles. Then I was just kind of agitated last night. I went for almost 3 miles, and
wow.
it's so helpful just to go and get some fresh air and see nature, as we've already
Mhm.
discussed, and kind of recenter yourself a little bit with some deep breaths. For sure,
Yes.
absolutely
Yep.
works.
And it
Absolutely.
is that's another big part of what I teach them is getting in touch with nature. We
Uh-huh.
as just human beings have lost that. If a child doesn't have hobbies, right? Like I just think about the summer and how even my daughter now, we're working on finding a job for her because I feel like she needs to have something else to do. I mean, there's many reasons why having a job as a teenager is important, right? Learning how to manage your money. Like, I'm tired of getting the text, Mom, can you put some money in my account? No, I can't. But anyway, they, just having things to do or some things that bring them joy. I think that's the big one, is the joy. And what brings me joy isn't necessarily what brings you joy, but I know for sure that when you are outside, and obviously weather permitting, and you have an opportunity just to be in nature, it does change you.
Mhm.
And our kids are spending way too much time inside, and they need to, like, I'm reading a book by Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation. Gen Z is the anxious generation. And, what's happened in our society is that parents are being arrested for letting their kids play in the playground without their presence. Like a mom, he tells a story of this mom that worked at McDonald's, and the daughter, she'd take her daughter to work during the summer, and she was 9, and she would be on the laptop the whole time. The laptop broke. She didn't have the money to repair it, but the neighborhood had a playground. And so she asked her mom if she could play at the playground. There were parents all around, no problem. Well, there was another mom watching her and never saw the supervision. And so she called the police, and the mother got arrested, and the kid was apart from her mother for 17 days. Like, what's that going to do for the child psychologically? It's terrible, because we now, like, all this helicoptering that we've done. I don't know about you guys. I was a child of the 70s and 80s. I played outside. Like, my mom, like, get out of the house, go ride your bike, come home when you hear me call for dinner.
I left after breakfast. I rode my bike around town all day. I had a little bit of change in case I needed a payphone, and I came home when it was dark for dinner, like you said.
Yep. And
no
what
way to
we've
get a hold of
done,
us.
yeah. What we have done, we have now the supervision. We feel like we have to over supervise them in life. And what's happening is a lot of parents are not supervising the virtual world. And so that's the thing.
Amen.
So scary. It's so scary how much especially now with AI. I mean, these AI calls that, parents could get that sound like their kid who is, freaking out because someone's attacking them or something. I mean, it's just so scary. It's so scary. So yeah, I mean,
and I get it. I'm guilty too of not checking on the phones, right? That's the one thing. It's like I probably helicopter in real life too much, but not the phone. Because when you do it, why do you want to see my phone? You don't respect my privacy.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to take care of you, because as we know from previous guests on the podcast, like, bad things can happen through AI, through social media, through people in other countries pretending to be someone else.
I know.
So it's a lot of things like that we really should probably be a little more alert. Again, as you referenced earlier, our kids' brains are not developed at this age through these teenage years. And so they're not conditioned to make the greatest choice yet. And so that is what we're there for. That's why they're put in our care until they're 18. I'm not saying we're getting it right every time, but,
No, I mean,
there's
who
definitely,
does? We feel as parents, nobody gave us a handbook that said, do this, do this. I mean, so much of it to me is, I believe that it's not our job to fix them, to mold them to be what we think that they should be, because I believe they're already born exactly who they are. It's not like when people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, how about I'm already who I am? Maybe a career, but I'm already who I am. Like, that's what I teach the girls. It's like, you are already yourself. Now, you should be growing regularly, right? Like the mindset of an 18-year-old thinking they know everything. And then if they continue with that same mindset when they're in their 40s, life ain't going to show up so great for them, right?
sure, 100%.
But giving them those habits and letting them try them, and they're not all, just because I say that this is going to work great, it might not be something you love, right? And that's okay. But giving them different ways of viewing their thoughts and just experiences that they're having. And again, once they're failing a little bit, and seeing that failure is not something bad, as just a way to grow, to get to be that deeper, fuller version of yourself, right?
I think that is such a key point that you make, is we have to allow, and it's hard, we have to allow our kids to fail.
Yes.
Because when we keep them in this protection bubble and we try to make it so that everything is going to be perfect all the time, they're going to get to real life and realize, oh God, this was not the case. And I think for me, really, I felt like my life was really pretty perfect. I was around 25, 26. And then when the wheels started to fall off, boy, they fell off because I wasn't prepared how to deal with that. It's hard because you don't want your kids to be in pain. But, Michael Jordan says all the time, like he was successful because of the thousands upon thousands of shots that he missed. We talk about the ones that he made, but he missed more shots than he ever made so that he could make those really important ones. And I think that's what we have to allow for our kids is you're going to make some mistakes, and we're still going to love you after you made the mistakes. But if you don't make the mistake, yeah, because if you don't make them, you're not going to learn, you're not going to grow, you're not going to be the best version of yourself in that regard.
Absolutely.
100%.
And they're also, like, to me, we as parents that just hover over our kids and want, like you said, not for them to feel bad or whatever it is, because we're making that feeling bad, right? Instead, like, to me, I have always told my daughters, and I share with the young women that I work with, all your feelings are part of being a human being. And so negative emotions are emotions. Like, we could take away the negative. Yes, it doesn't feel good to be angry, to be hurt, to be embarrassed, all of those things. But if we don't feel them, it's like exercising a muscle. It just gets stronger. And so if we as parents are not letting our kids have that failure, then when life happens to them, it's going to be hard. And things aren't going to go so great. And then what's going to happen, right? Like, to me, our job as parents is to give them the guidance and give them as much, opportunities as possible. So, because they're eventually, you hope they're not going to be living with you forever, right? And if we don't give them all the tools that we can possibly give them and let them try them out when the stakes are low, right? When they're still under our care, then when they get to real life, it's going to be so much harder for them. And they'll probably learn, but they could probably learn a lot quicker if we give them more, like, extend the reins more, and give them more. It's like letting your kids drive. How hard was that to watch your child pull out of the driveway the first time? I mean,
Nerve-wracking.
gosh. Yeah. And you just
Bye-bye. There goes the control and protection. It's like, dear God, I hope you have your arms wrapped around them.
Yep.
So what does it look like for girls to fully step into peace and power? Like, you start working with them. What does that look like when you start seeing that progress and they're embracing it? What do you see, maybe?
I see this human being just expanding, not feeling like they have to be like everyone else, and stepping into the things that they love to do, right? The things that feed them, that bring them joy. Their friends may not be doing it, right? And that's not to say that they're going to try to be different from everybody else, because we know as teenage girls, especially, they just want to fit in. That's it. It's all about community. They just want to feel like they fit in, right? I think as adults, we still feel that. But they also know that they've had an opportunity to try those things, because we create a list. Like, if you're not going to be on your phone, if we're working on intentional technology time, it's not go to your phone every single time you're bored, or every time you hear a notification. I teach them to remove those notifications. You might need one or two, but the most important thing is don't let your phone constantly ping you that you feel like you have to rush to it, because then you are connected to it all the time. So when you're not connected to it as much, what else are you going to do with yourself, right? When our kids were younger, like, my kid had to read for 30 minutes a day. Like, now she doesn't love reading, but now it's summertime. And if you're not on your phone all the time, what are you going to do with your time? She loves to dance. So, spend time dancing, go to the gym, ride your bike, whatever it is that brings them joy. And then when they do it and they feel good, they want to do it more, right? And then that power, just the power of learning how to communicate, learning how to make eye contact. They struggle with it because they're like this on their phones all the time. And the minute they feel uncomfortable, what do? They're on their phones. And then they're practicing that, right? They're practicing not getting a chance to look at people and feel comfortable in maybe, something that would normally have felt awkward. So it's just really giving them those opportunities to practice it and to see and experience what it feels like. And then they can take on, it's not going to be every single thing that I guide them to do, but they are so much happier and just full of joy when they don't feel all the pressures of society that they believe that they're being pressured, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're providing a foundation for them to just keep coming back to when things don't feel peaceful, when
Yeah.
they feel like they're losing their power. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
they have new habits that they can turn to.
Mhm. Yeah.
If somebody's listening today, Jen, and they're interested to know more, where can our listeners go to connect with you, join the Peace and Power Habits community, or how can they bring what you're doing into their own lives?
Yeah. So my website is peaceandpowerhabits.com. And in that website, there are 3 different empowerment opportunities. There is the squad. So obviously, if you live in the Austin, Texas area, your daughter could be a part of the squad. There is the Peace and Power Habits Collective, which is a membership of girls growing together. So I coach with them once or twice a month, and we have challenges. We have a chat that's constantly going. I have a daily pep talk. So they hear a 2 to 5 minute recording of me, just really helping them raise up and expand their mind, right? So it's that personal growth that I believe it has to be part of our day. Because if it's something you learn and then you put it away, your brain's not good. You're just going to go right back to the old way of being, right?
Yeah.
So it's that constant opportunity to hear those messages and try them out. And then you have the accountability of not just me as the coach. I think the most important thing is the social learning from one another is huge.
Mhm.
And then something I'm super excited about, which will be completed by the end of the summer, is Peace and Power Habits Connect. And it is a course for mothers and daughters to really grow mind, body, and spirit together. So they're going to learn, everything from nutrition to healthy communication, listening to one another, connecting more deeply with one another, because we know we're all so busy. I mean, yesterday, I think I saw my daughter an hour the entire day. So that's, and that's normal. But this is a course that they can either do alongside each other, which to me is the most effective, or they can do it separately. And then they come together and they get a chance to discuss what they're learning and, just really support and be accountable to each other. Peace and Power Habits Connect. And then also I'm on Instagram, Peace and Power_Jen.
Is the connect in person or virtual?
It's a course. So they'll buy the course and they have lifetime
Oh, you just go
connection
through it.
to the
Got it.
course. Yeah. And so you can go through it. You can, go to any module that you may need to work on a little bit or want to revisit. It'll all be there for you.
I
Awesome.
love it. Well, as we wrap today, what's one thing that everybody is grateful for?
You want me to start?
Go
Sure.
for it.
Nature. I mean, it is something like every single day, even if all I get to do is go and stare at a tree, it just brings me so much peace.
That's funny. I was going to say something similar. I am grateful that this weekend I'm going to be home and I will be able to be outside and it's going to be sunny and I'm looking forward to getting all the rays this weekend. It's good for my soul.
Mine also similar. I'm glad the weather is warmer. I'm glad my walks are able to be longer and I'm able to get the time in with nature as well, no matter if I'm on a trail or going around the lake. So I would say we're all pretty
We're
pretty aligned. Yeah, pretty aligned.
I love it.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
Angie, great job on another guest. You're killing it,
Thank
honey.
you.
Good
They just
stuff.
find me. They just find me.
For everybody that listened this week, we are so grateful. We hope that you have a wonderful week and God bless.